I came home from war expecting open arms and teary smiles. Instead, Ava wouldn't look at me, and Noah clung to his mother's leg like I was a stranger. Sophia stood in the doorway as if I were some intruder, some danger, not her husband. In their eyes, I wasn't a returning soldier. I was a monster. 18 months on the Afghan border had convinced me I'd seen hell. I was wrong. Hell was waiting at home. Sophia had remade me through AI, crafted fake videos she called undeniable proof that I was a violent, unstable father, broken by PTSD. And the terrifying part? I'd never done or said a word in those clips. But they were so convincing, I recoiled at my own image. She didn't just take my family, she stole my honor. My combat pay, sent home month after month from dusty bunkers and firefights, had vanished into untraceable crypto wallets. I woke up the next morning to a restraining order taped to my front door. No bank account, no legal recourse, no voice on my side. Once a captain who led men into battle, I was now living in my truck, eating cold ramen, and watching my son flinch at the sight of me like I'd ever raised a hand to him. I hadn't. Not once. I hadn't even raised my voice. But deepfakes don't need truth. They only need enough clicks to become reality. I could have given up. And some nights, I almost did. But then I remembered Ava, running through an airport once, clutching a drawing that read, "My dad is a superhero." I remembered Noah's soft giggle when I flew him around the living room like a little airplane. My real memories, not the viral fiction Sophia had unleashed on the world. I am their father. I survived the battlefield. Now I'll survive this. I don't yet know what I'm fighting against. But I know one thing, I won't lose. If Sophia built this digital hell to destroy me, I'll find the cracks in her system and tear it down from within. I went to the only man left I could trust, Liam Grayson. Once, he was the sniper in my unit, a cold, precise bastard who could hold his breath longer than death itself. Now, he was a cybersecurity attorney, defending veterans from digital predators. I came to him with nothing but a cracked phone, a rusty ammo box, and my story. But Liam believed me. Not because I spoke well, but because he'd seen me drag a bleeding kid out of Taliban fire with half my gear melted and still crack a joke afterward. We sat in my truck in a parking lot, sipping cheap coffee, the windows cracked. I told him everything. He didn't interrupt, didn't flinch. When I finished, he simply said, "If she used tech to build hell, we'll use tech to burn it down." What followed was a maze of metadata, hashes, and heartbreak. Liam guided me into the very world Sophia had weaponized against me. Social media, cloud storage, IP trails, encrypted wallets. The deeper we dug, the clearer it became. This wasn't the impulsive act of a panicked spouse. This was a premeditated digital assassination, one possibly orchestrated long before I ever boarded that military transport to Kandahar. Sophia and Nathan didn't just want custody. They wanted to erase me like I never existed. I reviewed each deepfake. In one clip, I was screaming in Ava's face, veins bulging, eyes wild. But in the background was a desk lamp we never owned. A glitch. A tiny error. The first crack in their perfect illusion. Liam smiled when I pointed it out. He said, "We don't have to tear down the whole castle. Just pull one stone and let it fall." So I began to retrain, not in firing drills or formation runs, but in how to fight with data, with truth. If I wanted my children back, I couldn't fear screens anymore. I had to face them, as a father, as a soldier, as myself. We started with fragments of code, compressed images, and faint IP traces buried in what looked like digital rubble. Sophia had done her job too well. Every video, every post, every tweet accusing me of abuse had been deployed with ruthless precision, each crafted to stir outrage, to paint me as a dangerous, unhinged father, and released in timed waves like digital napalm. No one questioned it. No one fact-checked. And the worst part? People wanted to believe it. With help from Liam's trusted network of veteran hackers, we began piecing it all together. Early deepfake drafts, metadata she forgot to scrub, even burner accounts she used to amplify her lies. Sophia didn't just lie. She engineered a chorus of phantom voices to echo and validate her story. Then we found it, a cloud server she used to store her original deepfake files. Triple-layer encryption. Intrusion detection. But the woman who once shared my bed never expected I'd be the one picking locks she thought were impenetrable. She thought I was simple, predictable. She forgot I once disarmed IEDs in Kandahar with nothing but pliers, sweat, and hope. Breaking encryption protocols felt almost familiar. Then, late one night, I found it. A nameless file, buried deep inside a folder labeled Z_drafts, with a blank icon. I clicked it, and my world stopped. It was Sophia coaching Noah on what to say. Her voice was gentle, but the repetition was mechanical, like programming a puppet. "Tell her Daddy yelled at you. Remember how Daddy slammed the table?" Noah hesitated, blinking, unsure, then nodded. A 5-year-old boy, too young to know the difference between a lie and reality, now pulled into a scripted nightmare. I don't remember if I cried or slammed my fist into the dashboard. I only remember the cold. A chill not unlike that first night sleeping under a tree in Helmand province, my rifle across my chest, knowing the enemy could strike at any second. But this time, the enemy lived in my children's house. Liam watched the footage in silence. When it ended, he didn't speak. He just looked at me and nodded. We had it. The undeniable truth. The counterattack had begun. We couldn't release the video right away. Too soon, and Sophia would burn everything else. She still thought she controlled the narrative, and I wanted to keep it that way. Let her think I was still broken, sleeping in my truck, defeated. Let her keep making mistakes. Liam called it digital ghosting. We left faint digital trails, spoofed IPs, ghost logins into my old social accounts, small traps to provoke a response. And they worked. Nathan, cocky and careless, logged in from a cafe in Capitol Hill using a device linked to the deepfake server. The location was logged. His identity confirmed. The door cracked open. At the same time, our veteran hacker crew traced a trail of cryptocurrency through a series of shell wallets to a foreign exchange, where Sophia had been laundering money through fake abstract NFTs. She thought she was clever. But we had timestamps, transfer logs, and a cold wallet that had never been wiped. It all came together, horrifyingly so. She hadn't just defamed me. She was laundering funds internationally and digitally grooming our kids into false memories. This wasn't just a divorce. This was a federal case. I still remember the night before we filed. I sat on the hood of my truck, watching the city shimmer under cold lights. Ava was in 3rd grade. Noah had just started reading. We used to play alphabet games on road trips, spotting letters on billboards and laughing like nothing else mattered. Now, they didn't even believe I was their dad. I didn't know if I'd ever get that back. But I knew one thing. I wasn't going to let her destroy them the way she tried to destroy me. The next morning, we walked into the federal prosecutor's office with everything in hand. The USB in my coat pocket felt as heavy as a weapon. But this time, it wasn't something I carried to kill with. It was something I'd used to save the only 2 lives that still mattered to me. The courtroom was packed. Media hovered like vultures. Sophia entered like a wounded media darling, clad in pure white, as if to proclaim innocence by wardrobe alone. Her lawyers smiled like the verdict was already written. I knew that smile. I wore it once too, before I understood betrayal. I wore a frayed collar shirt. No tie. No pleasantries. Just me and a USB drive filled with truth, triple-backed and encrypted. Liam sat beside me, and behind us, the veteran crew. No uniforms, but each carried the quiet gravity of war. Cold eyes. Footsteps that made no sound but weighed like steel. The prosecutor began. The video played, deep fake footage so real it once made me question my own memory. For the first time, I saw Ava and Noah through that corrupted lens again, and it stabbed just as sharply as when they turned away from me. But this time, I knew better. I was ready. The forensic expert followed, light mismatches, manipulated frames, pixel distortion. Every technical tell was laid bare, slicing through Sophia's lies. She didn't blink, but I saw her fingers tighten around her water glass, knuckles bone white. Nathan was called to the stand. Under pressure, confronted with irrefutable data, he began to crack. When the prosecutor asked, "Did you knowingly participate in falsifying these children's memories?" He hesitated. 1 second. Then he lowered his head and nodded. The courtroom fell silent. With that nod, Sophia's carefully built empire began to crumble. For me, it wasn't triumph. It was confirmation that I wasn't crazy, that I had been betrayed, that my kids deserved to know the truth, not the narrative their mother constructed for personal gain. But the war wasn't over. Tomorrow, Ava and Noah would take the stand. And for the first time in 3 years, I would finally look them in the eyes. I've never been more afraid. Not when bullets whizzed past my head in Afghanistan. Not when the divorce papers arrived. But when Ava and Noah walked into that courtroom, eyes glued to the floor, treating me like a ghost clinging to their periphery. 3 years, long enough for memories to be rewritten, for lies to calcify into truth inside a child's mind. I didn't expect hugs. I only hoped they would listen. Just once. Without their mother's voice filtering my words. Without deepfakes. Without implanted memories. "May I speak?" I asked, voice raw, standing before them more like a convict than a father. Ava looked up, for the first time in years. Not angry, not trusting, just waiting. I didn't talk about war, or law, or forensic evidence. I told them about the night they both fell asleep on my shoulders during cartoons. I reminded Noah of his laugh when he first rode a bike. I told Ava how she scraped her knee in the park and I carried her home, running and sobbing like a child myself. "For every mistake I've made, I will try to make it right," I said. "But the one thing I never stopped doing was loving you both." Silence. The courtroom was as still as a grave. Then Ava turned to Noah, whispered something. They rose from the stand. I thought they were walking out. But then, Ava approached me, hand trembling, and gave me a folded piece of paper. A drawing. A man holding hands with 2 children. No words. No hug. Just a chance. But for me, that was everything. Because for the first time, they looked at me like a father again. Not perfect. Not unscarred. But theirs.